on the That's What I Call Geek podcast, episode 3, with my co-host Carissa J, KJ, Carissa James. We're back again talking DCTV. Week 3, had a great week out there. We had Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow, as well as The Flash. Carissa, what's going on? How's it going?
It's going great. I am so excited. I am really excited to talk about DC Legends of Tomorrow and Arrow, and I'm kind of excited to talk about Flash.
Exactly. So we're going to go right into, we'll start with DC Legends of Tomorrow. DC's Legends of Tomorrow episode 3 was entitled Zari, I believe.
That's correct.
And we had the great introduction to the character Zari. Now, as a brief review or brief recap of this episode, the Legends get a distress call from Gary, which is, of course, our lovable member of the Time Bureau, sends a signal from the year 2042, which is basically a year where Argus has complete control over, and I believe that was either Central City. Was that Central City or was it Star City? I can't really tell in that episode. I don't know if this is the United States in general. Argus has complete control over it. Anyway, we see that our lovable water creature from episode 2, Kuwasa, the water controller, is basically trying to get her hands on a prisoner that's locked up within Argus. So when Gary sends the distress call, our Legends head to 2042, where they encounter Kuwasa trying to get at the prisoner known as Zari. Zari, we find out, wants the Legends to help her bust her brother out of prison there, which really is a trick to get Zari. Zari gets her hands on her totem, and this episode is all about the totem. So we get overall towards the end of the episode where we see the Legends basically fight the water controller known as Kuwasa. We find out that Amaya's totem, the spirit totem for animals, is exactly almost alike of Zari's totem, which controls air, and then we have Kuwasa, who has a totem which controls water. The Legends somehow, stop Kuwasa, and we get more we get kind of like a understanding that there's a deeper connection between these three characters. So overall in the episode, again, what stood out to you, Carissa? What stood out to you during this episode?
I think the performances of a couple of the characters, Kuwasa in particular, I just think that she's a scene stealer and very strong performance as far as this time-traveling assassin, if you will, or whatever. So impressed. Also, the introduction of Zari, I think that the moments with Mick were pretty fantastic. So just a kind of a look at each other and nod, kind of an agreement that we're not heroes, but we're here to help out.
Definitely. I thought I will agree. The key points that stuck out for me in this episode was the Kuwasa, hunting Zari down. We got the connection of Zari being, holding the air totem. Also, Isis, Zari being Isis, the DC Comics character, where the CW couldn't really call her Isis in this episode, but we know it was her. And then again, for the fans listening that don't know who Zari is, Isis was one of the biggest DC Comics characters in the comic books from the 70s, who is a totem bearer, who has that ability of the air. Also is not known as a hero, but also known as kind of like an in-between, an anti-hero. And we got that reveal also mentioning the brother of Zari, which is really Osiris, another character from DC Comics. I like that. I like that they made references to it. They didn't necessarily mention their names, but that was good. And I would agree with you, the moment between Zari and Mick in regards to them agreeing that they're not superheroes, but they need to help out and travel through time to potentially save the world or save time from what's coming next. So, I mean, overall, what's your rating on the episode?
I would give it a 7.5. It was a strong episode. DC Legends of Tomorrow always has a good balance of action, drama, excitement, humor, so 7.5.
Excuse me. I also agree with you. I'm going to say it's a 7.5 as well. Again, Sarah, and continue to lead this show because it has that perfect balance, so I totally agree with you. So 7.5 for DC Legends of Tomorrow. So what is next? Is Arrow next?
Let's talk Arrow. So okay. At the very end of the episode last week, we see there's Oliver kind of saying to Dig, I'm going to need you to put on the hood again. So it's a build-up of the episode a little bit to have Dig take it on. Coincidentally enough, the time that he decides to tell him is the same time Dig was going to tell him that he was having some issues with the shaking, the hand shaking, that sort of thing. So, of course, he can't tell him at this point. So he takes it on, and we'll get to that in just a second at the end of the episode. You have Oliver trying to balance being a mayor again, so he, has vigilante bills to try to put down and balance with his son, and having, family life drama happening at the same time, which he then in the later part of the episode decides to have Felicity help, because obviously she is very, very smart, and has Felicity assist with some math studying for a math test. So, and then back to Dig at the end of the episode, we find out that he has miraculously healed. You think that he's just gotten his confidence back because they kind of say, you can do it, and then really in the end, he's actually paying someone for some secret serum in a dark alley. So I'm sure there'll be more on that next episode. But overall, I think that the strong moments for me were going to be just the interesting dynamics between the team kind of trying to come together. You had the Black Canary kind of covering for Dig as he's, leading the team as Green Arrow, and you had Wild Dog kind of questioning that. I think those were two strong moments throughout the show, but more to come, more to see there, I think, with Dig.
I would say like a couple strong points for me in this episode were, again, John's performance, and again, his ability to fire the arrow, and then him, needing the performance enhancement, drugs, which were, kind of a shock, out of nowhere, because we thought that, him skewering the, tennis ball with the arrow, we thought like he was all, fine, and then we find out that he's, that really stuck out to me as a point. Also, the city of, the people of Star City, will they take the side of the vigilantes, what's the city going to decide eventually? That's another interesting, point within this episode as well. Overall, what did you think of the episode? Like, what would you give it a rating?
I think for the rating, I would go probably 7.4. It was just not quite as good as Legends, but it was pretty good.
Okay, and I'm going to probably agree with you, and I'm going to say I'll give it a 7.4 as well, 7.4, 7.5, along those same lines, because this left, again, a lot of questions in regards to John's performances, coming up. And, again, will somebody get hurt? Will he compromise the team? And again, how will it affect everything? Will it, jeopardize, the support from the others? So, yeah, I totally agree with you.
All right, let's go maybe talk about The Flash. Max, you want to give us a recap?
And Flash. So The Flash, we had the episode called Luck Be a Lady. And Luck Be a Lady was the lady known as Hazard. In this episode, and it starts off, we find that The Flash, when he comes back from the Speed Force into Central City, apparently there was a bus that was located right next to that, you say that portal or that opening or wormhole where Barry came out of, which also released a wave of dark matter, which basically infected everybody on that bus, including Hazard. And Hazard, we seen in this episode, getting off the bus. This person had absolutely bad luck. She was the unluckiest person probably in the world. And then all of a sudden, because of being doused by dark matter energy, became the luckiest person in the world. And in the episode, we seen her interacting, going into public, and her having absolute 100% good luck, where everybody else around her had bad luck because she carried this like bad luck field around her. The team eventually, comes together and tries to figure out how do they stop Hazard. Again, another meta that shows up into Central City with powers, and they don't know how it happened because, again, it's not from Harrison Wells' accident. In this episode, we also get the return of Harrison Wells to join back with Team Flash, and we also lose a member, which was Wally West. Kid Flash decides to leave Team Flash. And again, in the end of the episode, we get Team Flash kind of defeating Hazard by countering her you could say field of good luck by releasing, I believe it was like a negative field of energy, which kind of like cancels out her good luck abilities. Couple points in this that stuck out for me was Kid Flash leaving the team. That was kind of unexpected because I know that he broke up with Jesse, and it kind of drove him to leave. I also believe what kind of drove him to leave this Team Flash was it seemed like they didn't really need Wally. Just watching the past couple episodes, it seemed like he was always left out. The return of Harrison Wells, I think, is big because it seems like the team needs Wells. You know, like I loved Harrison Wells, or you say Tom Cavanaugh's Harrison Wells character. I think it's excellent. I think like every episode always needs to have Wells in it in some form of fashion. Those are a couple points that stuck out. And then also the Thinker to me, the Thinkers knowing each metahuman's abilities, and did he have a deeper connection with them somehow? Was he the reason why they got the powers to begin with? And was it really, Barry's fault? What stuck out to you in this episode?
Yeah, I think that the Thinker, like you said, is in control somehow. We haven't quite figured that all out yet, other than, he has eyes everywhere, can see everything, and it's all going according to plan, as he said. So I think that's a standout moment. Like you said, Wally leaving, I think that, that's more to come maybe for the future there. So setting that up for future return, right? That's going to be a big deal, probably, I'm going to guess, during the crossover. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then you also have, I think, just some cute comic moments this week. I think that the episode being a little bit lighter allowed for that to happen. So I always enjoy those moments because I think that's just a nod to the comics where they came from. So overall, I think, though, not the strongest episode for me. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay, and I'm going to probably give it a 6.5 out of 10 just because there was just like a little bit of those over-sappy moments with Joe's relationship, the Iris Barry wedding weirdness, which, again, is necessary, but that's what just dropped me a half a point rating.
All right, so, fair enough.
Overall, final thoughts on this week's DC TV shows.
DC Legends of Tomorrow stand out once again. Arrow still on that plateau. We're doing all right. I'm just waiting for a little bit more excitement. So Flash, it's just all kind of all over the place. I have faith. I know it's going to get better. It's going to get exciting. It's going to improve. So I think that one's on an upswing. And I just hope Legends keeps knocking it out like they've been.
Subscribe to our podcast. Subscribe to this channel. Like, share, comment. Reach out. Tell us what you thought of the DC TV shows. Again, send us questions. Tweet us at Max Prime Reviews, at Kissames007. And look, again, just talk to us. Tell us what you think about DC TV, and give us your thoughts on what's going to happen next week and overall in the season. So I guess that's about it for Carissa J, KJ, Carissa James, many names. For Carissa and myself, Max Prime, That's What I Call Geek podcast episode 3, and we'll see you guys next week. So, Carissa?
See you next week.
We're out.